honestly, because he really don't have the capacity to dance on his own. He's a puppet. But he knows it, and the people who are pulling his string has to get him to say these things. Oh, by the way, I don't know. Tell me something. I heard that when a certain person started to talk at this meeting, that he left. I want to know if that was verified, because I'm hearing this from several different sources. You know, during the talks, when everything was settled, a certain person, I'm not going to call anybody's name, start to talk. Maduro got up and left. I know she was. I know she. I know at which point she took up her flag and left. But
That's when you say a certain person, and you're not calling any names, but then you identify the gender, and of course we do mean the correct gender. Okay, um, then it's pretty obvious when we look around the table who you mean. But
I don't know who I mean.
but I understand, Madam McDonald, the reservations. I mean, when I listened very carefully to Kimar, yourself and Marcia, when you all were breaking down the 2020 elections,
Yeah.
and now you're observing a meeting being held with the identical players that
Mhm.
interfered in
Mhm.
that election campaign and results. And it does, we're dealing with a lot of lack of trust among governments, period,
Yep. Mhm. Mhm.
since the
Mhm.
pandemic has started. And it doesn't engender a sense of fullness of security when you observe that from your standpoint. But because, of course, from our standpoint, probably in Barbados and other countries in the Caribbean, we may not be as intimately involved and aware as to what went on in 2020 with those persons injecting themselves into your legitimate elections. So it was really very informative to sit and listen. I had no idea, when Kimar and yourself were sharing with Marcia about that, and to listen to it now and hear the same people sitting now to suggest that they're going to be bringing resolution. And I think it's all politics, Caswell. When he runs in the next general election, he'll be able to say. When someone else runs in the next, they'll be able to say. What are your thoughts?
Like I said in the
Of
beginning,
course,
this is
let me
just
let me interrupt you and welcome back Marcia, please, because
Yeah.
she disappeared just now. And Marcia, the honorable is with us, and I would like you, before Kazuo gets into what he wants to say, to officially welcome her because you disappeared.
Yes, I was so looking forward to this interview. Good evening,
Uh,
Caswell. I was so looking forward to the
okay.
interview, and all of a sudden, everything fell apart.
Not
well,
not
it's
to
so nice
worry.
to.
Not to worry at all. You know what? I have my program that I do live on Wednesdays. I think I told you that. And
Yes,
there are Wednesdays when I get into the studio. We either have a blackout, depending on the topic that I'm talking about. We either have power outage at the beginning of the program, or just in the middle when things are heating up and all the comments are rolling there, power outage. But you know what? We always have our standby generator on. So when they put us off, we're
yeah.
back on in less than 5 minutes. We're on again. So I understand.
You know what's going on. You know what's going on. And I have these two able gentlemen here. I just told them, go ahead, start the interview. And as I was typing to tell him to start the interview, I realized that it started because I was listening off, although I wasn't on. But, I
Okay.
know Caswell was going to say something. I'm going to let him go ahead. And then I have some questions for Madame. Go ahead, Caswell.
Now, Marcia, I am concerned, though, I'm concerned for the people of Guyana. I am concerned simply because the people of Barbados should be concerned of the players, the people, the citizens of St. Vincent and the Grenadines should be concerned also. So if you are not trusted at home, you think you should be trusted elsewhere? No, you got to be upstanding in your own land first before you can go there and set an example elsewhere. And I don't think any of those two. And the bottom along, Carrie Simmons, I didn't check the shoes,
Yeah.
Marcia, but the bottom belong to, they just sure it was a clown show. You know, it
I
was.
couldn't figure that. I couldn't figure that one out at all. I mean, what are you doing there?
Look,
Well,
mind
I
you,
mean,
I
what could
always
say?
defend them, though. Mind you, I always defend them. Okay, I always defend them. I sent Marcia a thing that says, don't judge him unless you walk a mile in his shoes. And I sent a picture of the shoes, so you'll see.
And the shoes were clown shoes. But Honorable McDonald, I don't know if this question was asked before, but I'm really curious about what is happening. On in Guyana, what is the mood? What is the feeling? Is there relief now that this meeting has occurred? Is there, what's happening?
Well, like I said earlier, there are signs of relief amongst our people, especially
Yeah.
those who are living in the riverine areas nearing the border. They're somewhat at ease, but the big question is, how long are we going to be having this kind of arrangement for? How long will this arrangement stand? Because I don't think this what was done there. It was done out of since a whole lot of sincerity, and it was done genuinely. I think in my mind, and this is the thinking of quite a lot of people, that what was done there, it was a show that was put on to appease one end and the other end and us in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
don't forget, in Venezuela, you have elections in 2024. In Guyana, elections are due in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got to pump people up. And we must be able to go out there to say, well, we were able to sign off on this agreement. And the prime ministers were there and they helped us. They've always been a friend of both Guyana and Venezuela, and they helped us to settle this issue. We had no more aggression from Venezuela, and we're awaiting the decision of the ICJ. Our people, though, are still vigilant. They're
Yes.
still alert because they don't really trust the whole arrangement that transpired there. I think one of the things that aggravated our people was the fact that Maduro knew that he was going to this meeting. He was saying he's going there to talk about the border controversy, this territorial controversy that we're having. The president of Guyana, Mr. Ali, was saying he will not have any discussions concerning that. They can talk about other things, but he was not going to get engaged in any kind of discussion concerning the territorial controversy, because that matter is with the ICJ. We saw Maduro going out there, painted on his aircraft the flag of Venezuela with that part of Essequibo on his plane there. We also saw them walking out there, and they had semi-placards with the flag of the map of Venezuela and that part of Essequibo. So right away, our people were saying, this man is very, very presumptuous. You're going into a quote-unquote peace meeting, and this is what you're going in there with. And this is being very pompous. And we want to know, why are you being so pompous? Why you had to come there with an aircraft with that map drawn there? And of course, we saw President Ali going there with a flag of the map of Guyana on his band there, showing Essequibo as a part of Guyana and all of that. But the whole talks, I really did not notice it, but it was brought to my attention. Look at the table. Look and see where PM Mortley was sitting. And all of these observations are
So
coming.
let's pause there, because that is interesting, because we saw the table and there were some things that we saw on the table which we are going to discuss this table, right? We're going to good night Kimar. Kimar is on, and I know he's working behind the scenes to make sure we're up tonight, because we don't give up, listen,
Does he have a picture of the table?
I don't know yet. We'll have to see if we can get a picture of the table. I know Kimar, if he can get a picture, he'd put it up. but we were working. We were wanting to do the show so badly. You should see us half hour before Timar and I trying to get this thing up and going. This table, this famous table. So now you saw something that I don't know if we saw. You are saying that you noticed where people were sitting at the table. So can you elaborate on that for me? What are Guyanese saying?
Well, this is what was brought to our attention because I watched the proceedings and I was really interested in the talks that were going to come out. I wasn't really interested in where persons were sitting, but then it was drawn to my attention. Look where people sit in. If you're mediators, then there should be a particular place for you to sit. And the two sides should be sitting there facing each other. But why are you on one side facing another side when you should be either at the head of the table? And that again brought some concerns and reservations to our people. And so while they appreciate the fact that we are not going to be, there's no more aggression that is going to be coming from Venezuela, persons are still saying, hey, two individuals around that table were part of our 2020 fiasco. Two of those persons. And so we've got to take what is coming out there, like Guyanese would say, with a pinch of salt.
So, and those two individuals, because, I'm not going to pretend, the two individuals that were there that was Ralph Gonzalez and Mia Markley. And they were present. In fact, what we noted, was there another flag on that table? Because we saw
only the Barbados flag.
Was there another flag
only the Barbados flag.
Well, I'm seeing. I'm going to try to get an image on the screen, but I'm seeing a couple of others though. But I will try to get it.
Okay. So if
I'm not sure around the room, but not on the table.
On the table. So what we saw the Barbados flag on the table. And so you're saying that Guyanese are generally they're happy about what has happened, but they're a little uneasy about it because they're not so sure. Because there are two individuals there that were present at their there are two other flags that are there. That seems to be, is that St. Lucia?
St. Lucia?
Yes.
No, that was not St. Lucia. We're seeing Barbados, and I'm not sure the other flag. Whose flag is that?
Would that red one be possibly Trinidad?
Might be. But the thing is, the flags that are represented there, you had nothing to do with this controversy. So I would have expected to see a Guyana flag and a flag of Venezuela.
Yes,
as against
absolutely.
seeing those two flags that we were seeing there. And like I said earlier, persons were concerned about where PM Markley was sitting. Very, very concerned about
I didn't notice that before. Did you see that?
I talked about that. I said that I'm a conciliator, remember? And when you have, I'm a trade unionist, and we have conciliation meetings all the time. And you have the chair, and you have people on opposing sides. It is clear that Markley is on Maduro's side, from where she's sitting. But look, one other thing. Look at where everybody else is looking. My girl looking into the camera, man. She just want to get noticed. Look at everybody else's face. She can't help herself. Look at it. Trust me.
So hold a minute.
She's staring right into the camera.
So are you saying, who is this gentleman here beside on the right? It's on the left of Gonzalez in the glasses here.
That's Dominica.
That's Carrot. Not Carrot on the right.
Scarrett is on the right.
Yeah.
Yes, he's on the right of Prime Minister Gonzalez.
Okay, so who is? Okay, and so Maduro was on the left. I'm making sure we're doing this depending on where perspective. So the Venezuelan president, I'm seeing that he's on the left of
Gonzalez.
On Gonzalez, correct. Okay. So who is that gentleman on the left? There's a black gentleman there with glasses.
I'm going to see if I can get a better image of it.
I'm
That's
trying, but I'm
interesting,
not.
though. That she's sitting. She's basically, is she almost sitting beside him?
Yes, as if she's part of his delegation.
Well,
Wow.
she is from where she's seated.
I didn't notice anybody. Oh, there's I didn't notice. Anybody noticed that before? Anybody who's watching? Guys, if you're watching, remember, I'm gonna ask you please to keep sharing the YouTube link, because we are a fraction of who normally would watch, but we're hoping that this will go. We will keep pushing this after, and get this out there. Honorable Coretta McDonald, I sent you the link. I see some people from Guyana saying they can't find the link, so I sent it to you. The correct link I sent to you in your WhatsApp, so you can take a moment. And I see people from Guyana; they seem a little frustrated and trying to get on to see. So if you can just send that out, please. Yes. Interesting. Very interesting. Wow. Kimar, you're there?
Philip, you're here?
Let me see if Kimar is there. Okay. Oh, Kimar. Okay, dropped out. Okay, he's coming right back in. Coming right back in. Guys, please share this up. So, and I can understand why they would feel that way, Honorable McDonald, because I was worried for Guyana, and I'm saying I'm really hoping that we don't have something terrible coming out of this, on the part of Guyana, that you don't end up holding the wrong end of the stick. Now, let me ask you a question. The thinking is this, that there's some within the Guyanese community who felt that, you know what, we should not be setting up these meetings with Maduro because we are waiting. This is in the court of law. What is the purpose of the meetings? You understand? The thinking is that this is in the court of law. Why are we setting up meetings with Maduro? What is the purpose of it if we're waiting on a court ruling?
But you know what? That very question was asked. We asked that question when we were sitting in the National Assembly, because we know that as opposition, when we ask questions concerning matters that are engaging the courts, our speaker would say to us, I can't entertain that question because this matter is in the courts. So we found it very, very strange. As a matter of fact, some Guyanese were saying their comments to the president was, if you go there and talk foolishness, you're on your own. You're not coming back to Guyana. We don't want you to go to St. Vincent to talk. What are you going to talk about? As a matter of fact, I sent a letter to President Ali on Facebook, and I said to him, I don't understand the reason for you traveling to St. Vincent. And it's not too late for you to call and say, hey, I've decided to change my mind. I'm not coming to that meeting. And like I was saying earlier, in Guyana, we were confused because we were hearing from President Ali, who was saying, I will not be speaking on that issue. I will not speak to that issue. Anything else I will talk around, not that issue. And then we saw coming from Maduro, he said, I have a commitment to the people of Venezuela, and I will be going there to defend what is rightfully ours. And then we saw a letter from him, and then we saw another, and persons were saying, what is really going on? We don't understand this. Who's telling the truth and who's telling untruth? President Ali said to us exactly what this meeting is about. Do you have an agenda for this meeting? We would like you to publish that. Publish the agenda. If you're going to a meeting, then you must know as heads of government what you're going there to discuss. Let's see an agenda. But we did not see an agenda, but the president went to that meeting. And, well, we know what came out of that meeting. But like I said earlier, that meeting was about a wheel in another wheel, in another wheel, and we helping each other, because we got an elections in 2024 that we want to win, and we have another elections coming up in 2025 that we want to win, and we on the outside, as mediators, we want to stay in good company with both sides. And so we are going to go there, and we are going to go and bob and weave, and we're going to say, well, we want this to happen and that to happen and whatever to happen. But the fact is now that that agreement was signed, and we wait to see how long the peace will continue to reign. There will be no more aggression, and we await the decision of the ICJ, and then what comes after the decision that is going to be made by the ICJ.
Go
There's an
ahead,
old
Pascal.
saying. There's an old saying: you don't tease a fool, you please him. All right. So that is why our friend Ali went to, was it Vincent? He had to go. You had a fool to deal with. Now, if you stand up and act foolish like him too, you get invade. So play along with him. So that could be the rationale for Irfan Ali going, because the military in Venezuela is half the population of Guyana. Venezuela has a very big army. You can't win. If they invade, you can't win.
You can't.
So you have to go in there and help Maduro to climb down. It was in Guyana's best interest to go and make sure that Maduro is allowed to come down gently, because if this didn't happen, he'll be the laughing stock of Venezuela, and people would not vote for him. So, but they help each other out, as the Honorable Coretta McDonald said. They were helping out each other.
You know what I found? Sorry. You know what I found?
Gonzalez helping out himself in next election. May want to go to the United Nations, so she will show that she had experience in international affairs.
In peace talks.
And peace talks. It is a bunch of foolishness. But
political optics.
It serves its purpose. If your purpose is to cut short, it did exactly that, because nothing real happened in that thing. First of all, look, even with a trade union dispute, when the two an employer and an employee, we don't take no one day thing, the solid nines, all the little thing, they take a meetings over meetings and stuff, and you get this thing sorted out. It was 1 or 2 days. Something as serious as that, you had a little 2-day thing and bam, And I think most of the time was at lunch or whatever. They had a lot of stuff. There was nothing substantive or substantial going on in there. It was just somebody got here. I call it optics. Well, the Americans that call it optics, and I will go along with optics too. But that's what it was all about. Sure, to give people the impression that we are doing something, and we are it. We're the people that you're going to come and support, because look, we just solved this thing. The thing was solved before they sat at that table.
What I found strange is that the opposition in Venezuela, the opposition leader, that young lady there, she was so up and about with this whole thing, and she said she doesn't know why Maduro is making himself what he is not. He has lost popularity in Venezuela, and so he's doing all of these things to regain some popularity. And she said the entire world knows when they had that referendum, the percentage that they got, the percentage of people who voted and participated in that referendum, and it was nothing to smile about. But of course, he has to go out there and paint this picture as though he had the entire population of Venezuela supporting him, when that was not true. She also went on to talk about how he likes to instill fear in people, and she made some remarks about some opposition members who refused to participate in that referendum, and that they were held. When she was asked whether she participated, she said no. that was useless. I don't have time for that. Why am I going to participate in that? So that in itself is saying to us that Maduro is trying to regain the confidence of the people, and so he's got to spurt a whole lot of things out there and hype them up so that he can get some support and have their votes at elections next year. But like the viewer there said, it was all about optics and persons helping each other's partners helping each other's. Don't forget, sister and maybe Barbados is a brother, so Venezuela has always been a good sister to Barbados, so brother and sister helping each other, and Guyana's a little sister, so they're gonna help the little sister because, like I said, in 2025 there's an elections in Guyana, so we helping each other.
Wow, it's amazing, and can you hear me?
Yes, we're hearing
Yeah,
you.
we're hearing you good and loud and clear.
Okay, right. They had all kinds of things tonight. This wasn't working, wasn't a charge. Sorry about that. Well, we don't give up. Somebody here is asking a question, and I'm trying to figure it out. They said the opposition supports the same move to claim the lands from Guyana. So why was the Venezuelan opposition not at the meeting too? But I guess someone could ask. So the Guyana opposition.
The same reason with Guyana opposition was not there. They would have brought the goods. They would let people know what's really happening. So you can't have them there. Let me just show you. They have meetings in Barbados with the Prime Minister and the unions that represent certain people. I'm not invited because I get say what happened. Okay, so this is what the opposition would do. They say what happened. So they don't invite me. So this is a mere tactic. All right?
That's why
She knows that if the opposition came, she learned from Barbados. She knows what's going to happen because many times I hear, "Oh, they have meetings." Casper, but you're right. I said the bond invite me. So this is the same thing that's happening here. She that was her contribution to the meeting.
It's, I think of these things in terms of government and opposition, as if government thinks that it represents, and I mean, I guess officially it represents all of the people because we've been elected to government. We get that, but by the same token, when you have a meeting of this nature, where you have the opposition representing a certain percentage of the country and the ruling party representing another percentage of the country, while government, we know government, you elected the people to government, if that's what happened, we'll just leave that. You elected the people to government and they're supposed to be there. But I think on matters of this nature, the leader of the opposition should have been in that meeting, because you don't know what's going to happen. When is the next election, Madam McDonald? When is the next election? 2020 what?
2025.
2025. So you don't know what's going to happen in 2025. Mr. Ali may be voted out. Mr. Jagdio may be voted out, and then the leader of the opposition becomes the president of Guyana. And subsequently, in my view, that's just my take on the matter, should be sitting at that table now. It just goes to show that we're dealing with a whole set of political optics because, sorry, Captain. Am I being idealistic?
No, you got it wrong. The Guyana has proportional representation.
Yeah.
Right? But the people who were declared having the most votes didn't get them, because a lot of the people who voted for them had already died years ago. You see, and that is what Mayor and that's what happened. That's what Mayor and Gonzalez and everybody now they have to do to legitimize those dead people voting. You could check with Honorable Coretta McDonald. You will see that a lot of dead people voted in Guyana.
Well, let me tell you what. I was there at the recount. I sat in booth 2, and I was there for 33 days during COVID. And every time the boxes came to you, you had boxes there with even a blind voting.
Is she breaking up, or is
just names were ready?
Yeah, we're getting some connection issues because her image hasn't moved as yet either.
Right. And I think Caswell was also breaking up a bit.
Yes.
Caswell's image is
Are
a little
you
stuck.
are you hearing
Um,
me now?
we're hearing you, but you might have to come out, leave, and just come right back in.
Yeah,
Honorable McDonald.
because the image is frozen. Your image is frozen.
Yes, I recognize that, and I was trying to get that fixed. So I'll do just that. I'll leave, and then I'll come right back in.
Yes, yes.
yes.
So we can complete what. But isn't that interesting? Caswell and Dr. Ferdinand, how the people are just they have not forgotten what happened at that election, and so that is causing them to not trust the process. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
No, but you can put it one thing. PPP has such loyal support that even in death, they come back and vote. That's one way of looking at it. so
I don't know. I don't know where Caswell comes up with these things from.
you know,
I tell you,
but that's what
amazing.
happened. A lot of the people, some of them were outside, some of them were
Yeah,
in
thank you.
Barbados. One guy
Thank you.
met me at the market in the Cheapside to tell me that he voted, but he was nowhere near Guyana. He didn't go back home. He was in Barbados for all these years, and he voted. He thought
Yeah.
that's the guy who sells vegetables, and I buy quite my vegetables and things from the people in the market, because I get them fresh. And we got I'm Guyanese vendors and stuff who grow their own stuff, so I get them really fresh. I don't get them stuff, so I go there and they talk with me. They recognize me, they know me, and we talk. And he told me he discovered that he voted in that election, but he did not leave Barbados. He never went down. So but his vote was counted, and 9 chances out of 10, it was counted for the PPP Civic. He did not leave Barbados, but he voted in the Ghana election. So,
Wow.
I
And
could
do
go and pick him up.
but do they have those absentee ballots? Can you?
No,
can you?
there's not absentee ballot. He said that he discovered that he voted in the election, and that he was in Barbados all the time.
I just got it. I thought it was a case, in the US where you can vote and you're not don't have to do
mail-in ballots.
jurisdiction. So let me ask you. So he only discovered that he voted.
Yeah, he discovered that he voted. He discovered that he was
my
present in
God.
Guyana and voted, but he never left Barbados for all these years. He was in Barbados, and he didn't go back home to vote. So I know that they didn't have any majority of votes. So that was done for the. So when you're saying that they got the majority of votes, no, they might get them.
So let me say to you.
Go ahead.
Let me say to you that coming out of that recount is where we recognized exactly what we've been saying all along about the PPP and the manner with which they rig elections. And in that recount, we saw many persons who are dead. They voted at elections. And when we were able to confront them on that, because we had the deaths, we went to the births and deaths registration office, and you got the death certificates there, which show that this person is dead, but look, this person is accounted for and they voted. We got the registry from the immigration officer, from the immigration office, which showed a number of people who never came into the country during that period, but they were registered there as voting. We saw there persons voting at one polling station and then going to another polling station using another name and voting there as well. So this is not any storytelling. This is what actually happened, because I sat there. As a matter of fact, we persons voted without any form of identification, or your ID card or a passport. Persons voted. We saw persons who were deemed to have been blind putting ticks rather than having a thumbprint. So what you're hearing about the recount, it's true. It's not anything that anybody made up. As a matter of fact, there was one point when the chairman of the Elections Commission said, look, all of those ballots that could not have matched their statutory documents we are going to put those aside. They're not going to be counted. The following day, that decision was reversed, and we were told that those ballots are now going to be counted. They are valid, and that sparked a whole lot of confusion around this country, because we were going all the time with valid votes. We saw ballot containers coming out with ballots, and you could not find the stubs, but you had ballots there. You had voters list, and you had a list with 20 persons on the list, but you had 46 ballots in the ballot box. And so you were asking what was happening here? Where are these persons coming from? How these persons are there? To boil all of this down, the accord that was signed on there, the agreement there, this recount process had 5 steps. 3 were looked at, and they abandoned the other 2 processes. So the whole elections was done there, and all those goodwill people who came to intervene, they intervened there for their own goodwill and to benefit themselves. They did not intervene there to benefit the Guyanese people. And so for that reason, when Guyanese people see certain individuals, they're always going to be upbeat, they're always going to be skeptical, and there is going to be always that level of distrust.
Well, you know, Honorable McDonald, I'm going to get Kimar to come in here now, but you know, I'm here thinking, you know, to people that I wish Barbadians were the same, that when they saw certain individuals, all the things that have happened now, that it's alleged that one person did that one thing to Guyana, and look how Guyana, whenever Guyana see them, Guyana is like, not, you know, they raise the cross, and we can list the number of atrocities, you know, all the things that have been, we know that have gone on here wrong in Barbados. And some people's eyes are still not open as yet. And so I can definitely understand why the Guyanese would be a little skeptical about anything that they're associated with. Himar, I know you're having a get time. Any thoughts tonight?
All right, you can hear me well?
We're hearing that noise again.
You can hear me well now?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Good and clear.
Yeah, well, good night to everyone.
Nice.
Thanks for having me. It's McDonald. Good to be on with you again. Since we've last been here, a lot has happened, man. You know, we had an entire Papi show going on in Vincent, and you know, we've had Jamaica not showing up to the meeting, and a lot is going on. But I'm glad that some progress was made in terms of not using force on Guyanese people. So at least we know that life, at least if it's temporary, life is safe, and that's what matters most. So I'm happy. I think I can stretch a big one here and say that I think that it was this show, the advocacy from this show, really helped to push back on whatever they were planning, you know, and they had to tread very, very, very cautious this time because they know we were watching. They know that we spoke about them. We know that we said that they went and they interfered in Guyana. They know we spoke about the elections. We identified all of the culprits. And as Pastor Ferdinand said, the same ones who interfered in the election were the same ones who were back here again. But they couldn't do what they did the last time because they knew that we were on them. So I just wanted to say a thank you to you all for joining in the fight. I'm sure Guyana is much better off for that type of advocacy. However, it's quite unfortunate that our leaders don't have the balls to do what we did in terms of taking an open position on what needed to happen. So maybe that could be the next step after they realize that it's not about the oil, it's not about the resources, but it's actually about the Guyanese people. And
Mhm.
and and it's time that these Caribbean leaders step from behind taking kickbacks and taking bribes from these big companies and all of these bonuses and royalties that they want to benefit from. It's time to look past that now, and really do what you were elected to do by the people. Because it was not Exxon that put Jack Dale in power. It was not Exxon that put Ali in power. It wasn't even the people, because they were not even voted for it. So I can't say that the people vote them. But at the end of the day, they are the government legitimate or not.
Mhm.
So they have to govern for the people and not govern for Exxon, or not. And they can stretch on this one, or not govern for Maduro, right? Uh, they have to make the best interest for the Guyanese people. It's quite unfortunate, some of the statements that were made at the level of CARICOM. Um, I'm quite surprised that Barbados didn't take a more frontal role in it, in terms of the taking over the show and trying to hog it. Uh, but there's reasons for that. And again, I want to thank the show for pointing out uh, that Barbados was the ringleader in that entire debacle in terms of interfering in the Guyanese election. So they wouldn't want to go there and do anything wrong. Then for them to have to come back here tonight to hear us roast them. They don't like us when we roast them.
Correct.
They don't like it. So we put some fathers and mothers corrections on them, and they straighten out the act. So I mean, I just want to encourage you all, especially Miss McDonald, keep up the fight. Uh,
Thank you.
Eventually everything will come to a head. Marcia, no mind they took us down last night, but we're back up again.
Yeah, we're back up on your channel and we're asking people, those who are watching, and let me say good night. We have 115. This is like probably a third of who we normally have. We said last night we had up to 460 something people on watching live. And so we have 115 tonight. Everybody, we have to share. We have to fight back. We're not going to sit down, we have to keep fighting, keep sharing the link. And I don't know if Mr. Franklin even has the link yet. Do you have the link, Mr. Franklin? It's been passing around?
Yeah, I've been sending it to people.
Okay, wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah, so everybody, if we all do it, then we'll get our people here. People they want to be on. They want to be on. But I want to ask Miss Honorable McDonald something, because I'm very Guyana. This issue with Guyana and the what's happening to Black Guyanese, Afro Guyanese, right? In Guyana is a real concern to me. Because the first time I was called a racist name was when I did a show talking about what was happening in Guyana to Afro Guyanese, and my Indian friends came on here and called me some serious derogatory terms,
Mhm.
and all I was doing was asking questions, which was quite interesting. And I said to someone, I can just imagine what it feels like living in Guyana, and with all of what's going on. But what I want to ask though, has CARICOM put forward any kind of policy or suggestions or ideas, or any concern, or raise any concern about what Afro-Guyanese are, have been saying to the world? They've been screaming out on Facebook about this. They're screaming out on social media. Some of them have lost contracts. They can't get work. They feel that they're victimized. What is CARICOM saying? Because they could take up and do an entire meeting on this issue with the oil. Am I comparing apples and oranges here? What are your thoughts, Honorable McDonald, on this?
Well, let me say to you that again, Afro-Guyanese, the majority of Afro-Guyanese who are within the public sector, who are public servants, they've been dealt another serious blow again with a 6.5 salaries increase. And that is across the board. The government, they have again refused to engage the Guyana Teachers Union, the Guyana Public Service Union, and all the other unions. They've refused to engage those unions. And within those unions, the majority of its members are Afro-Guyanese. So again, another blow. And I want to equate this blow with the blow that Afro-Guyanese meted out to them at the local government elections. Since Afro-Guyanese did not vote for them at the local government elections, they've decided, well, oh, you didn't vote for us? Take that. And so in this new Dubai of the Caribbean, as we are now being dubbed, we've moved from 8% last year to 6.5% this year. And from our calculations and some of what we've been getting, inflation rate is 6.1%. And so we're getting 6.5% salary increase. And that's not all. When you look at what has been happening in Afro-Guyanese villages, there's a distinct line when you cross Indo-Guyanese villages. You see the difference in terms of development and everything else in those villages. But my worry is, again, why is CARICOM so silent on all of this? As a matter of fact, there was a big cry in Guyana a couple of months ago when our brothers and sisters from Haiti were deported from Guyana, when they were jailed in Guyana, when they were rounded up and disposed, well, not disposed of, they were deported. And then there was this new arrangement being put in place that Haitians now have to get a visa to come to Guyana.
Yes.
And still coming out of the agreement in CARICOM, which talks about free trade and free movement, CARICOM is still absolutely silent on this issue. And so one wonders whether, again, you're hearing, well, we don't want to get involved in territories, internal arrangements, and so on. Then what's the use of us having CARICOM? Many persons are saying, Guyana, it's time to get out of CARICOM. Let's move from CARICOM because CARICOM isn't doing anything for us. And so I want to use this forum to call on our leaders, to call on the chairperson of CARICOM to speak out against some of what is happening in Guyana. We cannot continue to have this government marginalizing and discriminating against people who, in most instances, or in many, many instances, or in all the instances, persons who are not, if you're not a PPP, then you're out. And most times, if you're Afro-Guyanese, then you get licks like peas. You don't fall into anything. If you look at what is happening in this country, and I don't have it here, if I had, I would have shared on on the screen. But in Guyana, we see contracts being awarded. Contracts were even being awarded before the procurement commission came into being. It was not there. And contracts were being issued. We have seen contracts being issued to one particular person. Same name, 5 contracts. You have the tender board putting out their advertisement there and all these contracts that they're offering. And you're seeing just a particular group of persons getting these contracts. And other persons who are applying, they can't get these contracts. We saw just after the local government elections, there were some persons who were employed doing cleaning gutters, having road projects and other projects. And after the local government elections and the results were read, you know what some of those persons were told, or most of those persons were told? Well, the contract came to an end. The contract came to an end. And so that was it for lots and lots of Black people. And this has nothing to do with anybody here being racial. This is what is happening. You go to certain banks in Guyana, commercial banks, and if you see 5 Afro-Guyanese in those banks, you see quite a lot And there's nobody saying anything about it. Nobody's saying anything about it. You go to some other places and you don't see any Afro-Guyanese there. Afro-Guyanese you have contractors who are Afro-Guyanese. And you know what was done to some of them because they're not PPP? If they slipped up with a contract, the contract was taken away from them and they were blacklisted. But we've seen other persons who they've not met the deadline for their completion of their contracts, but those deadlines have been extended and extended and extended. And there's so many road projects. And we have we have 2 ministers of public works, and they just can't do anything about it because it is way past their pay grade. But Afro-Guyanese in this country are always kept on the breadline, so that you always have to run to the PPP. You always have to run to them. And so they throw a little crumb and you run there, you pick that up, and they keep that dangling across over your head. But again, CARICOM says nothing about all these atrocities. We've seen numerous Black young men being killed. Nobody's saying anything about it. We had a couple recently where 2 cousins, 2 young boys, one 16, I think, either 16 and 18 or 17 and 18 years old or 20, being killed in the most brutal form. Up to today, nothing. You don't hear anything else about that case. And you know what? Both mothers are dead now and they died from grief.
Wow.
We have seen a young man being shot in his bed. All he had on was his brief. He was sleeping. He was shot and killed in his bed. You don't hear anything about it. Of course, they put on a big drama and they pulled the police rank before the court, and he was charged, and that's the end of it. We saw another young man, 24 years or 23 years old, Bacchus, shot and killed by a policeman. There were several policemen there, but one particular policeman killed him, shot him cold-bloodedly and killed him. And when you got to the bottom of the story, you heard, oh, of course, the police have to put up their story that the young man is involved in illegal activities and he was selling guns, and some police decided to call him up and they made some arrangement to buy a gun from him, and some other policeman was hiding in a car trunk and some foolishness, and the young man pulled the gun and that's how they shot him. But when you got down to the bottom of the story, you heard, oh, it was some young lady that they had a feud. These 2 men had a little feud with this young lady, and this particular young man said to the particular policeman said to this young man that he's going to quote unquote, he's gonna done his dance, you know? And that young man was killed. And you know what? The young man was killed when he was running away from them. He was shot several times. So I don't understand how a young man is armed and he's firing shots at you, but he's running away from you. And so the footage there showed, the CCTV cameras showed the young man running away and the police running behind him and shooting this young man. To date, we are still waiting to see those, the police, well, they held several of them. And so we are still waiting for them to have their day in court. But you know what? Many, many families have been broken. And so all of these things are happening to people in Guyana. Just recently, we saw one of our news reporter, Travis Chase. His car was burnt. One of his cars was burnt last year, I think it was. Mysteriously, nobody knew who lit this car afire, but his car was burnt. And then just last week, he parked his car, I think, in front of his grandmother's house. And the next thing, they heard gunshots. And when people started looking out, a young man on a motorcycle passed and opened fire on his car. Luckily for him, he was not in the car. He went, the police came and they took the reports and so on. And they said to the boy, a couple of days after they called him and they asked him to report to the station, they want him to come and identify. They have 2 suspects there and he should come to see if he can identify them. The young man said, I cannot identify anybody. I did not see anybody, so I can't identify anybody. Subsequently, he received another call inviting him to the station because they want him to bring his firearm because they want to do ballistic testing. They took away that young man's, well, he went with his attorney and he was wondering, why do you want to have my firearm? But this is the young man who is always out there advocating for rights. He's exposing other things. He's
so he has a license. It's a licensed firearm.
Firearm he's having. They have disarmed him so that persons can arm him. That is what they have done to him.
Wow.
So that's the situation that we have here in Guyana. So when they go out there to talk about one Guyana and president for all the people, that's not true. Today we had the mayor from Linden and his councillors protesting in front of the local government ministries because you know what they tried to do? They tried to impose a town clerk in that town. So it is not anything that they're talking about, one Guyana and peace. What Prime Minister Mortley and Prime Minister Ralph Gonzalez should do, they should come here and we can put them at the square of the revolution under a massive tent and let them listen to the concerns of the people in this country and let's see what they will do. That's what I want them to do. Come to Guyana, sit under those tents and listen to the cries of the people of Guyana and let me see what recommendations they're going to put in place and what documents they'll want to be signed so that Black people in Guyana can have a life just like any other person.
Wow.
I'll tell you something though. If you invite her to Guyana, you will only be telling her what she already knows. She does not care.
Wow.
She doesn't care about Barbados. You think she cares about you?
As a matter of fact, let me say to you, like I'm seeing here in the comment section, we have a commission called Ethnic Relations Commission. And this is the commission that would deal with racially incited statements and so on made by persons. And, you know, during that entire elections debacle that we had Indians, East Indians on Facebook putting up there that they can poison out all the Black people in Guyana. You had they're not reporters, but they claim to be reporters, calling Black people hungry belly dogs and all kind of things in Guyana. And
can I tell you that they were calling me those names? I was telling Dave, I don't even know these people. Look at what they're calling me, you know, a monkey and all kinds of things. And I'm saying, you know, but you know, Dr. Ferdinand, I'm saying, if CARICOM, before I ask, let me ask, McDonald, have you presented any of these concerns to CARICOM? Have these concerns been presented to CARICOM?
Well, if you ask me to present again, I'll do.
Okay, so it has been, the concerns have been presented. I am saying that this kind of, because I'm hearing it, not just from Honorable Coretta McDonald, but I get it on my phone. People message me and they tell me what they're going through. A lot of business people are marginalized. Black business people are marginalized in Guyana. And I'm saying, why? It's a shame that we are continuing we are Black people too, and we are going on as though there's nothing wrong in Guyana, Doctor.
But Marcia, then what is the purpose of CARICOM? What is the purpose of all of our countries coming together from a political standpoint, economic standpoint? At least this is what I was told was supposed to be the case. And in which event it would mean that when things arise in different territories, the heads would meet and see look at what we're doing with Haiti. Haiti is not even, and I stand to be corrected, I'm sure Caswell will correct me on this, but I don't think Haiti is a member of CARICOM. Am I correct? They're an associate. They are a member. They are a member state, right? Yes. Okay. But that was recent by virtue. When you compare to the rest of the CARICOM region, that was a recent addition. Look at the voices being raised with regards to Haiti, which is only now joined, compared to what we are here. Because what I'm hearing, I must say, Honorable Coretta, that I'm hearing a level of racism here in Guyana that I myself was not that familiar with. I knew there was some degree of it, but I didn't realize it was as predominant and blatant as what you are sharing. And I doubt, to be honest with you, I doubt that many people actually really know this, because it hasn't seemingly been shared in our different territories and so on. I mean, I stand to be corrected there, because I'm not in the know as to all of that. But certainly, with respect to our CARICOM grouping,
You won't get one more.
there is that type of situation going on in any one of our territories. Should we not come to the table and try to resolve that?
Well, it's the very question we're asking, the same question. All of these issues that we're having here in Guyana, in Trinidad, we have some of it happening there. Why can't our CARICOM leaders sit? And mind you, CARICOM's headquarters is in Guyana. When we're having lots and lots of the protests, they too sometimes are prevented from going to work, because many times when we have sitting of the National Assembly and the persons are protesting, they would protest at that site where the National Assembly is being held. And CARICOM's headquarters is right next door. And so they know everything that is happening. They see all that is happening. They see the walks down the street. They see people bearing placards. And so are we saying that they're dumb, they're deaf? What?
See no evil.
I'll
Hear
say
no
something
evil.
that I'll
Speak
say
no
something
evil.
that now helps me to understand. Several months ago, I was approached by someone to obtain aggregate for Guyana. Okay, one of my associates in the organization that I'm a part of, to acquire aggregate, and I reached out to a couple of people in the United States who I know very well out of my Cayman connections, and we had everything set. Then next thing I heard was that the whole thing seemed to have fallen through. And I'm beginning to wonder if that was not a part of it, because I believe that the person who would have been looking to obtain the aggregate was not of the Indian race. And it's a substantial amount of aggregate that was. I mean, we're talking about barges. We're talking about barges of aggregate that I was approached in terms of organizing that and making the connections. And I've tried through one or two persons in Guyana. Of course, both of those persons are of Negro descent. And I think I'm now beginning to understand why that has not proceeded any further, because this aspect is something that really it's sad to hear what you're saying. You're talking about people's livelihoods here. You're talking about the future of their children. You're talking about them putting food on their table. You're actually talking about social stability. That's really what you're talking about. And if persons are unable to engage those processes to make a living, what are they going to be left to do?
Exactly. And let me say to you, it's not only the Afro Guyanese who suffer like this. If you're Indo Guyanese and you are part of the coalition, they watch you with scorn. They call you all kinds of names. We had, leading up to the elections, we had an East Indian family, their butcher shop was burnt to ashes because they are part of the coalition. Recently, we had the Vice President Barajagio calling one of my colleague MP a lowlife. This is what he was calling one of my female colleague, a lowlife. We had.
You mean the Vice President is calling this Black woman who is an MP a lowlife, and she's a member of Parliament.
She's a member of Parliament. As a matter of fact, sometime last year, I think it was during budget presentation last year or early this year during budget presentation, Nigel Dharamlal, who was the Minister of Local Government, He called one of our MP, told one of our MP that you need a dildo. That's what he said in the National Assembly. It was heard all across this country and even further for persons who listen to our budget debate. So these people are not easy people. As long as you're not with them, they find the most harsh words to tell you.
Yeah.
They find all kinds of names to call you. And one of the things about the PPP is that they don't have respect for women. That's one. Two, they have no respect for Black people unless they can use you. And that has been the PPP all the time. Simple, let me give you another example. During the coalition's term in office, President Granger then celebrated his birthday. And he said, look, I don't want gifts. I don't want personal gifts. This is what I want. Anybody who wants to give me a gift, this is what I want you to do. In Guyana, we have children who have to go to school, but some of them, their parents can't afford. So if you can donate some buses, I'll be happy. We'll have those buses distributed to the various regions so that children can ride on those buses free of cost to get to school. If you can donate bicycles, I will welcome that. If you can donate books and bags and boots, which we call sneakers, we will welcome that. Computers and so on, yes, I would welcome that. So we had several buses across this country, several boats for our folks who are living in the hinterland and they have to use the river to get to and from school or to get to work, to and from work, or to get to their farm and so on. We had several boats that were donated to some of these regions. You know, in 2020, after August 2nd, you know what they did? They burnt some of those buses. Some others, they just have them parked in place on the street corner or in some compound, and those buses are not being used. Some of the boats, they repainted them, they took out the engines, and they're using the boats to do other things. And that's how wicked the PPP are. That's how wicked they are. Other buses, they took off the name David Granger off of the buses, and they just left Region 5 or Region 4 or whatever region it is. They left those. But some of the buses were sabotaged. Rather than throwing gasoline in a diesel bus, rather than throwing diesel in a diesel bus, they threw gasoline in there. Rather than putting in the engine oil, they threw something else in there and damaged many of those buses. And so if that is not wickedness, then you tell me what is.
Wow. You know, we just have a few minutes in this segment, and I'm not sure. Is it Casual was speaking? I don't know if Kimar, you have anything to say in this section before, because we do have some local things in Barbados that we want to, but there's something that is bothering me here, because I'm seeing, before Casual, I just want to say this very quickly. I'm seeing, gentlemen and ladies, I'm seeing that Barbados is seeming to want to go in this direction, because anybody who speaks out against this government here, we are victimized, you know, and in so many different ways. And so I could see why they can't say anything about Guyana. They have no moral standing to say anything about Guyana. But go ahead, Caswell.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Caswell?
Yes, I'm sorry. I just wanted to mention, Ralph Thorne and Hal Gollop went to Guyana for Granger. Remember, they represented Granger before the court, or represented the government then, or his party. And the gentleman who is now the Attorney General, Nan Lal, I think his name is, he referred to Ralph Thorne and Hal Gollop, two outstanding lawyers from Barbados, in court as two aliens from across the sea, because they were not saying what they wanted to hear. They were doing their job. They were only doing their job, but they were two aliens from across the sea. They were not brothers anymore. Plus, they were both Black. You see? So the I don't understand how well Gonzalez himself is racist too. You can but Mayor, I don't know. She could be a racist for against black people. She has more support for other ethnic groups than for black people. Even here in Barbados, she makes sure that those people get the tax breaks. She makes sure they get the contracts too. So we are seeing the same thing. But you could just scratch off Guyana and put Barbados, and you got because of what May is doing here. So don't be surprised that she's in support and full support of the PPP because they are the people she likes to associate with. I don't know if she has some sort of inferiority complex and she feels that she shouldn't have been black or something, but she don't treat black people even here. She just used them. Just like how the PPP use black people in Guyana. Sometimes they make a few token blacks and give them a little something and they feel good about it. Should we have the same thing here?
Yeah. You know, somebody here says she's a moneyist and not racist. I think even looking at where you see her sit there in that meeting on which side, this lady, she sees green. The only color she sees is green. And I think that is really what is her thing. It's this whole love of money, you know, and so on. But you know, I remember that when the BLP was in opposition, someone very, very close to the party said to me that one of the things that Owen Arthur was concerned about was what you know what was said to him, that you know what he needs in Barbados is like the politics that is in Jamaica. You know what that was in Jamaica in the 70s and the 80s, where one people from one party was, you know, killing people from another party, and like what's happening in Guyana, where they seem like, you know, the party in power want to starve out the other people who are not in power and to make their lives miserable. And that was the kind of politics that it was alleged that this particular person was pushing. And Owen Arthur did not want anything to do with it. And you know, this former MP of the BLP, they said to me, that is why you see, you know, Owen Arthur was trying so hard to shield the Barbados from this person, to shield. And we were, some of us, like myself, at that time, I didn't understand. And I was saying, you know, you know, guys, I was saying, why don't they just let her be and let you know, let her, give her a chance, give women a chance, and all of these things. Only to realize that what was happening is that you know, Owen Arthur was shielding us because that's the kind of politics, a politics where it would be, you know, based on there'd be a lot of violence and like what happened in my country, Jamaica, where, you know, we had to whisper, you know, on Honorable McDonald, in Jamaica, you have to whisper to say which party you are supporting. That was back in the day. Now, all of that has changed, you know. But that was the kind of thing that you know, I was told that Owen Arthur was trying to shield us from, to protect us from that kind of politics.
It is just
Yeah, but
crazy.
he was duped too, you know, because that was his blowy girl at one stage, Ben. And I actually wrote to him pointing out those flaws. I said to him in the letter, but still finding it wrong here, that she was a megalomaniac, despotic, I think, and he defied me. And he was able to see me in Super Center years after. He didn't apologize, but he told me it wasn't his fault, you know. And
You mean they fired you because you said that?
I wrote to him.
I've never heard this story before.
Yeah, I wrote to him. I find the letter, probably one of my files about the place, because I was required to do something that I wasn't comfortable with. And I wrote to him, pointing out what I was required to do. And of course, in those days, she was his blowy girl. and I got fired.
Hmm.
And I had to take them to court. And the case is still pending because no judge would touch it. And that's when she was Attorney General. You know how long ago that was. Because after she was Attorney General, Dale became Attorney General, Dale Marshall. Then the government changed. You had Adriel Baffett, Fernando Stewart, then Adriel Baffett. The government changed again. Now you got the same clown. I mean, you know what I mean, Dale and Dale Marshall. And now they're back. And up to now, to this day, I have not had a single day in court.
Wow.
You see? So
So you knew from back then that something was that.
I was telling people so for all that time, you know, but nobody was willing to listen. Even Owen, he listened late, but by the time he had lost, he so many knives were in his back that he couldn't get them all out. I don't want to call myself a prophet, but I told him. I wrote to him.
Yeah. Well, you know, we have quite a bit to, you know, to talk about again here in Barbados, but we're so happy to have had the Honorable McDonald. Every time you come on here, you know, I love when you come on because I love your spirit and I connect with you. And, you know, I because I would like to hear what's happening in Guyana on the ground. I want to know what happened to my people. This is educating a lot of people. And every time you come on, we're going to talk about this because I deliberately want people to hear and understand what my Guyanese brothers and sisters are going through. And somebody said, don't call the Indians my brothers and sisters. Yes, they are. They are. You know, and I have wonderful Guyanese Indian friends and here in Barbados. I was shocked that they were doing that to me, you know. But we want to tell you again, we support you, and we are using this platform to send out a call to CARICOM, because I know they got people watching this, you know. That's partly why we're not on my regular channel. But you know, we want to send out a call to CARICOM in the same haste that you ran to deal with this thing in Guyana, because it, you know, concerning the oil, and you're all into Guyana now because Guyana's oil. You know, can we try to fix this issue? Can we have a hearing, as Honorable McDonald is saying? You know, have one of those hearings that they call them, you know, where the people come up and share what they're going through in the country. I think that is necessary. Honorable Coretta McDonald, is there anything else that you want to say to us before we close this segment?
Well, you know, I just want to say thank you to this new family that I have, so that we can express ourselves, we can share with you what is happening in Guyana. And so when you hear from the folks on the government side, and even your government, when you hear them talk gloriously about the government of Guyana and what is happening in Guyana, that you know that there is another side to that coin. And, you know, very often persons will tell me, Coretta, you have to be careful, you have to be careful. But I've been saying this for a very long time, and I'll continue to say it. I will continue to fight for ordinary people like myself. As long as I have life and I have good health and I have breath, I will continue to champion the cause for poor people. I will continue to speak out against the atrocities of any government. And let me say this to you. When the coalition government was in power, I joined with my members, the Guyana Teachers Union, the teachers across Guyana, and we had a massive industrial action. We took massive industrial action against the coalition. Again, salaries and not coming to the table with us. And so if I can do that against my own party, then I will do it against any other government who decides that they don't want to listen to people and who feel that they can trample on the rights of people. I will stand up for my people. I will stand up for women in my country, because there are some men who feel that they can take advantage of women. There are some politicians in the PPP who feel that they can tell women whatever they want to tell them. But I want to send this warning out to you. You might be able to shut the messenger down, but you're not going to be able to stop the message from going to where it has to go. And with that being said, we will continue to be a family. We will continue to speak out against the atrocities of the PPPC government. We will continue to talk about how wicked they are. And whichever forum I'm at, I will continue to speak about these without fear. Because I tell them every day, I tell Barra Jagdew every day, there is nothing that you have on me. And if you think you do, I give you the approval to tell the Guyanese people whether Coretta McDonald was involved in any illegal transaction with you at any time. You tell the nation that for me. But you know what? They can't do that because I am a principled person. Outside of being principled, I am a contented individual. What I don't have now, I will work hard to get it tomorrow. So I don't have to sell anybody out to get it. In my country, finally, let me say to you, our teachers are suffering every single day. Our education officers, especially the Black ones, they're suffering every day. As a matter of fact, many of them have been sidelined and they have been replaced by junior officers who they have to guide to do their work. But the Afro-Guyanese officers have been sidelined. And you have all of these persons who you're bringing on as cadet officers, and then you put them up all up there. But you know what? That day will come when we are going to be able to stand up and call a spade, or to continue to call a spade, and we would ensure that the spades are being used to do exactly what they were made to do. We have too many square pegs in round holes in Guyana, and we've got to get rid of them. And the people will do that come elections in this country. The people will do that. You know, every time persons stand up to speak about the PPP, they always go after you. One of these days, you might hear that they're going after me, but don't worry, I am not afraid. I am not afraid, because I tell them every day, the jailhouse was not made for dogs and cats. It was made for human beings. Nelson Mandela went there. And if by chance I have to go there, then I will go for my people. Power to the people. And that is what will set me free. So I'm not afraid of what they will attempt to do. I will continue to speak out. And if I have to call out Prime Minister Mia Mortley or Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves or any other Prime Minister, I will call them out. And mind you, I will talk about CARICOM on my program. I'm going to call them out, because you can't sit there, have your headquarters in my country, and so many atrocities are being meted out to our people, and you sit there saying nothing about it. And you live here in my country in comfort, and my people can't live in comfort. You know, we have been dubbed, again, the Dubai of the Caribbean, but yet we can't have proper drinking water in this country. We can't have a proper flow of electricity in this country. The roads, every time they do the roads, they do it today. Next 2 weeks, it's broken up because it's friends and family, and the masses are left to suffer. But that day will come when our people will sign the PPPC government off for good.
Wow, well said, and it's so encouraging to hear you. And we listen. This needs to be a weekly thing. You need to come on, because we're getting strength from each other.
She needs to come to Barbados and drive some backbone and steel into the wishy-washy opposition people that we have here. I'm not calling any names.
Miss McDonald, thank you so very much. We could listen to you the entire night, but we have some other things that we have to deal with in this country. Thank you so much, and I apologize for all the technical issues, but you push through with us, because you know that it's a fight. Yes, you did. You
Yes.
pushed through with us. Okay,
Yes.
thank you, ma'am.
And so for Christmas, our folks are going to be having their 6.5% salary increase, and cost of living is 20.2%.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Miss
The
Wow.
like
McDonald,
Chinese, but don't worry.
thank you so much. You're a powerhouse, as Natasha said, and we are happy to have had you tonight on. Thank you very much, ma'am. God bless you.
So if I don't
per-
see you again, let me extend
Yes.
the holiday greetings to you, and I trust that God is going to continue to renew our strength so that we can continue this fight. Happy Christmas, Barbados, and to my colleagues on air here, happy Christmas to you.
And a Merry Christmas to you as well, and a great,
Thank you.
great New Year. And God bless you.
Yes, yes,
God
yes.
bless you.
I feel powerful, Miss McDonald. I feel powerful. Thank you. God bless you.